What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Effin' Nerds podcast, episode number 11. Ooh, I like the sound of that. My name's Nick Denizio, and sitting across from me is my dude, Martin Moreno.
What's up, dude?
How we doing?
Good.
All right, we have a jam-packed episode, and unfortunately, we're going to kick things off with a bit of a somber note because Carl Reiner passed away this week. I'm going off of some of these notes that I have here that were written by our writer, Bob.
Bob does a great job.
So here we go. Carl Reiner, the writer, actor, director, and producer, whose decades worth of credits include The Dick Van Dyke Show and The 2,000-Year-Old Man, has passed away at the age of 98 due to natural causes. His career spanned live television, Broadway, motion pictures, record albums, and a variety of guest appearances. He showcased a ready wit and generous spirit, and he will be greatly missed, and that is for sure. So I know, for me personally, we discussed this a little bit on our favorite movies of the decade. Mm-hmm. And you always have these movies that kind of shape your love for movies. Mm-hmm. You know, you always have like those milestones. For me, one of them was Ocean's 11.
Of course. And
he played a really big part in that. He's actually one of the characters that really stands out in that. And then from there, when that came out was 2001. Being a youngin' that I was, I didn't really know who he was other than Saul Bloom.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you research him and you see what he's done and the kind of impact that he's had in the industry and all the stuff that he's just had his hand in, he's one of the pioneers of like comedy television, creating like the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Which is crazy. I had no idea about it.
Yeah, I didn't know about that either.
I mean, until much later on,
Right, yeah. And then he was a big part in shaping Steve Martin's career early on. Directing movies like The Jerk and Dead Man Don't Wear Plaid and a lot of stuff like that. So he's a stud. He's a stud. He's, as you would say, he's a stud. And, he's going to be greatly missed. Really funny guy whenever you see him do, talk show appearances and things like that. And one of my favorite parts of the Ocean's trilogy.
Yeah, same with you. Like when Ocean's 11 came out at that time, right as like I'm growing up, and it was right around the time when I'm starting to like understand movies and kind of starting to really obviously when you're young you don't really think of things like budget or like when I'm sure if this was me like 10 years ago I would, or like me when I was younger, I'd be like, why can't they just have like Fantastic Four in the Avengers movie, but you don't realize if shit's like rights and
right.
You don't realize of like the logistics and everything that goes behind movies, but Ocean's 11 kind of came out at a time when I was really kind of starting to understand movies and really starting to enjoy them and appreciate them. And same, I just knew him at first as Saul Bloom. And those movies, to me, very much like it did to you, fireworks going off.
Oh, we got fireworks.
We're going to get a lot of those going off. Fireworks have been going off like crazy around here. But yeah, it's similar to me. Like I just knew him as Saul Bloom. And obviously, as I got older, I kind of realized what he did. And I kind of learn of all of his accolades, and he's going to be missed. And very much like Carl Reiner and Saul and these people who shaped our childhood growing up, Batman Forever and Batman Robin were also big influences growing up, and rest in peace, Joel Schumacher. Whatever you think of those movies, they obviously had, they were very impactful. As a kid growing up as a big Batman fan, I still remember God, it must have been my 6-year-old birthday having, or my 5, I cannot really sure, but having the Batman Forever poster of, Batman going like this, and it's got like all the villains going up his arm. And,
right.
And yeah, I just rest in peace to those two studs.
Well, and then I'm glad you mentioned Joel Schumacher too, because a lot of people, think of those Batman movies, I think, but like he's had the same thing, especially like in the 80s. He had a massive career and like was a guy that kickstarted a lot of careers for actors, with St. Elmo's Fire and The Lost Boys and Flatliners and a movie that's not the greatest, but it's one of those like movies from like the 90s that just like is like a guilty pleasure. It's called Falling Down with Michael Douglas, and where he plays like not a post worker, but he plays like he's like an office worker that just kind of just goes off one day and just goes crazy with like just starts mowing people down with like. And
before Gerard Butler did all these ridiculous movies, he was the Phantom. People forget that he was the Phantom. Yeah, and he's the Phantom of the Opera, which is also like it's a movie that I enjoy. I remember watching it growing up, and I'm like, this is kind of fun. I like this movie.
But then and you got A Time to Kill with Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh my God.
A fair sentence. Objection, do you think they deserve to die, Mr. Haley? Answer the question.
Carly, don't answer that question.
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
That was also one of those movies that when I was fresh off the boat and kind of really understanding like American films, like that was one of the movies that I saw kind of like early on, my early American days here in America.
Yeah.
And yeah, my family was a huge Sandra Bullock fan growing up. Mm-hmm. I pretty much know like all her movies.
Yes.
Because of my family's sort of love for her. So yeah, I think that was like one of the very first movies that I saw that was really that. It wasn't like, Speed or Hope Floats or Practical Magic, or
while you were sleeping.
While you were sleeping, so good. Oh my God. Or do you remember The Net?
Yes, of course.
Dude, like that was, yeah. So it was like, there was those movies, and then like this comes around, and it's like a serious like movie dealing with racism and the Ku Klux Klan, and like Chico, like when they tie her up and like they rip her clothes off, I'm just like, Mom, like, what is this?
What are we watching?
What is going on? Put back While You Were Sleeping on. I want to see her kissing Bo Pullman on the train. But yeah, just two studs, two legends, and thank you for everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then it's just real quick, jumping back to where you mentioned The Net. Mm-hmm. I saw somebody who kind of put out how apparently Carl Reiner had an absolute love for The Net.
Really?
To the point where he actually tweets about it. Like he has multiple tweets of him as he's watching The Net saying how much he loves it.
That was the first movie that I remember where Sandra Bullock had a sex scene in.
Really?
And I was like, this is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. We're mature people.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
very mature.
All right, and with that, moving on to another unfortunate news. Yet again, Mulan and Tenet have been delayed. So Mulan and Tenet have been delayed yet again due to the coronavirus concerns.
Coronavirus!
Mulan was originally pushed to July 24th and now will be delayed an extra month to August 21st. Christopher Nolan's highly anticipated Tenet, which was originally set to be released on July 17th, was originally pushed to July 31st before a new release date of August 12th was most recently announced. The studio has delayed the re-releases of Nolan's sci-fi blockbuster Inception in honor of its 10th anniversary to July 31st. And I would not be surprised if neither of these dates hold by the way things are going. Yet again, the last episode we were having, at least some hope that we were going to get to see these movies in July. And now July has been absolutely demolished yet again by the fucking coronavirus.
But Tenet was time manipulation. So if it's going backwards, is it technically going forward? So is it going to be released like next week?
It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, at this point, it's just like, it sucks. And at this point, it's just really, there is almost this sort of, a lot of reports come out of this new sort of surge of the coronavirus and how it's going to apparently have a nasty comeback. So at this point, it just goes back to that, I think of that Incredibles moment when Dash is like, are we there yet? And he's like, we'll get there when we get there.
Are we there yet?
We get there when we get there.
So I'm just at this point, it's like, we'll see it when we see it. Like,
yeah.
I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets delayed again or if it gets delayed indefinitely.
Well, so the latest thing that I saw is that after the July 4th holiday, studios are going to reconvene and decide whether or not they're going to push all these August movies now to September.
I mean, at this...
Already. Like, they haven't held these dates for more than a week, and already it's like, maybe we have to push all this stuff to September
you mean the movies that just got moved to
That
August?
just got moved, they're now being considered to go to September.
Yeah, at this point, it's, like I said, we'll see it when we see it. It sucks. It's a really shitty situation of everything that's going on, but there's obviously, to keep the reference going, because FN Defense got the reference, what Peter says in Spider-Man 2. There's bigger things happening here than me and you.
There are bigger things happening here than me and you.
This is all tough, but when that day comes when we can actually and finally see it, we'll be pumped and we'll be ready.
Yeah,
we'll be ready.
So just sit tight, guys. It's gonna get here soon, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just hang tight. Mm-hmm. Continuing on with that, keeping in like some of the business news, we have some bidding wars going on in the streaming world. After a heated bidding war, Apple has landed Emancipation, the Will Smith-led action film directed by Antoine Fuqua. Warner Brothers and Apple were the final two bidders vying for the package being sold out of the Cannes virtual market, with Apple taking the project for a massive price tag. It's another high-profile project for Apple, who also have the Tom Hanks World War II drama Greyhound arriving this year, and recently scooped in to help save Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. which they are, I guess, partnering with Paramount on footing the massive bill for that movie, which is, I think, is like a $225 million budget.
Insane. Oh,
Yeah.
It's just that. I mean, that's still a lot of money, but that's
Well, that's not. I mean, Paramount didn't want to pay $225 million for a prestige drama.
I thought that was a lot more though. Yeah.
No, I mean that's.
But that's for drama. That's
high,
fucking.
though.
That's
Yeah.
a shit ton of money.
That's like an Avengers cost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if Apple wants to give us some money, that'd be great. Yeah, this is Apple is spending money, man. They are dishing out those.
They
bills.
need to, man. They need their streaming service needs some. I mean, like I guess maybe not. I don't know how. I remember when it premiered, like when their streaming service dropped, it didn't have the best launch. Maybe now it's been better. Like I know
from what I've heard is that they have good content. It's just flying under the radar.
Yeah.
Like Little America supposedly is like really good. Central Park is really good.
the morning show.
The morning show is more on like the so like from what I've heard, like sort of on the, you have your and then you're like pretty good, like gets good, got good word of mouth. So you have like C and the morning show, which are on like the like a little rough section, and then you have like Defending Jacob, Central Park, Little America. These sort of shows, The Servant too, the M. Night Shyamalan one, like
Right.
these. So for the most part, I would say majority of the shows that are on there, I've heard good things. I haven't seen them, but they're just kind of flying under the radar. Like no one's really talking about them, not really getting any recognition.
Right.
And then they had a couple documentaries from what I saw that apparently that are really good and have gotten really good reviews. So in terms of content, they have from all the looks of it. I mean, I haven't seen it. I can't personally speak of it, but from what I've heard and from what I've read, they have pretty good content.
Yes.
They're just not really high profile, I guess. It's not really like people aren't really talking about it too much.
And I guess that's why they are in these massive bidding wars now to get some of these high profile projects in so that people can now come to the service. And then on the other side of things, on Netflix, Netflix just acquired rights to Aaron Sorkin's The Trial of the Chicago 7, which is poised to be a really big Oscar contender this year. It has an absolutely stacked cast. Sacha Baron Cohen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael Keaton.
Which I'm super excited for.
Tons of people. I'm super excited for that too. So you just have now these streaming services that are trying to buy up these prestige projects to get, to get some Oscar consideration, because that just brings more notice to your service now when you have these big movies that are getting all these awards with these big stars. Because
we've said this before. That's where we're going to. That's eventually where we're going to. And I'm really excited for Sorkin's movie.
Yep.
Did you see Molly's Game?
No, that's one of the movies I still haven't seen.
You haven't seen Molly's Game?
I know Molly's Game is on Netflix, I think, too.
Is it on Netflix?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, we definitely. I personally really, I enjoyed Molly's Game. Quick side note. Okay, I enjoyed Molly's Game a lot. However, very few times in my life I almost walked out of a movie theater. Very few times. Molly's Game was one of those instances. Not to spoil it for you, there's a moment in the movie where, young Molly Bloom, she's talking about her life and one of her first jobs, who she has like an asshole boss, and he texts her and he's like, come to work and pick up some bagels. So on her way to work, she picks up a bag of fresh bagels. She takes it to the office. The boss looks at it, gets mad, and throws the bag of bagels across the room. To make matters worse, he's like, I don't want those bagels. To make matters worse, she grabs the bag of bagels and then she throws it in the garbage. My heart dropped. It was almost as bad as seeing those Sarah McLachlan puppy commercials. I'm like, it hurt.
Well, because we know how much you love bagels.
I love bagels. Okay, if Nerds Nation probably does not know that, they're not aware of that. Now you guys know. I fucking love bagels. So to see the disrespect in a movie from Aaron Sorkin, I was insulted and I almost walked out, but I stuck it through and I really enjoyed it. It's a really great movie. It's fantastic dialogue, fantastic script. So I'm excited you haven't seen it because I'm excited to watch it with you.
Yeah, definitely want to check it out because that was Sorkin's directorial debut as well.
Yeah, and it was really good. And Jessica Chastain is amazing in it. Fucking smoke. But yeah, I'm excited to see his movie. I mean, like you said, the cast is amazing, and the streaming wars continue, so to speak. It's only going to get crazier from here on out.
They're definitely alive and well, and now with HBO Max, now kind of in this whole thing with what they're dropping. It's it's going to be fun to see. And then on top of that, the fact that the theaters are closed, I think you have a lot of these services now that are trying to get more content because more people are home now and more people have these services. So it's like, who's going to be the one that's got that project that everybody has to see?
Yeah. And it's also just talking about the project in general. Antoine Fuqua, in my opinion, is a bit of a hit or miss director. And Will Smith is also, like, in the past decade, he's had some kind of flops, so to speak.
Right.
But, however, when those two are... Will Smith is a world-class actor, regardless. He's always going to bring, like, his A-game to the movie. Antoine Fuqua, he is a great director, and he's given us some great films. So when those two are on, they are on. So if they come in and they bring their A-game... I mean, you got yourself the potential for like especially dealing with this subject matter in regards to everything that's going on now too.
Right.
You got yourself a potential for like a serious heavy hitter on your hands.
You know, and before we move on, I want to talk about Antoine Fuqua a little bit because I was listening to the Rewatchables today, and I was listening to they were doing Enemy of the State. So they were on the subject of Will Smith and how he's never really had like a truly, which I don't know if I completely agree with this, but like a truly like great movie in terms of like if you compare him to somebody like DiCaprio or like Denzel, how he's that caliber actor and he can give you that type of performance where he's just like absolutely lights out, which I think we've seen it before, but he's in that same kind of career as somebody like Tom Cruise or trying to think, I can't really think of anybody else, but it's like when you have a Will Smith movie or like a Tom Cruise movie, it's a Tom Cruise movie or it's a Will Smith movie. It's not like case in point, when you think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, automatically as a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
It's not a DiCaprio movie, it's not a Brad Pitt movie, it's a Tarantino movie.
No, and
so
I 100%
it's like
agree.
So it's like how when you have a Will Smith movie, he's the one calling the shots, not so much the director. You know what I mean? So it's that whole movie star kind of aspect,
right? Which
where
we've spoken about before.
We discussed it with The Rock. The Rock's the kind of same way, where like I want to see him work with a different director. That's gonna be the director's movie, not his movie.
Right, but it's all yes, and it's also a time. I also think another thing is we kind of go back to the time that Tom Cruise or the Will Smith came from. They came from a time that when they blew up, it was a time in movies, in cinema, so to speak, where the actors sold tickets.
Right.
You can put Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie name on a movie card or on a title card, and it's going to sell tickets.
Yes.
You put Will Smith's name on a movie poster, it's going to sell tickets.
You're
guaranteed
to get like over 100 million domestic.
Yeah,
even
like
more worldwide.
Those were the times in like the 90s, maybe early 2000s still, but like now not so much. Now it's more like the director's name. You put Nolan's name on a fucking
That's
trailer,
what sells it.
that's gonna sell it. And I feel, and I felt like this for a long time, I agree, I feel like Will Smith is a little bit instilled in that mentality of like, I'm still the name, I can still put butts in seats, I can still sell tickets. No, you can't, I'm sorry, but you, like I was saying before, you look back in this past decade, we'll think of like After Earth, Collateral Beauty, give me another one. Bright. Well, that was Netflix too.
Yeah, I know, but just in general.
Right. And like you have movies that were not received well and that didn't do, and critically were not received well. Didn't make money and critically were not received well.
Well, so if you think about like what his last like whatever entertaining good movie that was well received by audiences and critics and made a lot of money, I don't think he's had, like, Suicide Squad was obviously a massive hit, but a lot of people did not enjoy it.
Right.
Critics
Me included.
Right.
Us included.
Us included, yeah. I didn't enjoy Suicide, you know, like, and we can discuss whether or not there's a good movie in there or not, but that's besides the point. I don't think it was until Bad Boys for Life that you had a movie that was both loved by critics and audiences and made a lot of money. You know what I mean? So that's a lot. That's a lot
that was profitable.
That was profitable. It was, right. I mean, like it made over $400 million worldwide. Right. You know what I mean? So. And I also have a love for Focus. I love Focus.
I was gonna say it too. Like Focus, in terms of like,
but that was a modest hit.
That was a modest hit.
Yeah.
It went over well with critics, went over well with like the audiences, but it didn't really make that much money because it was a smaller movie.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I love that movie. I think that movie is great.
Yes.
But yeah, I think he really needs, because there was also that article that came out a while back when he was in talks to do Django. And he didn't want to do Django because he felt like it should have been done a certain way.
Right.
And Quentin was like, no, that's not how I want it to be.
I wish he took that. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I love Jamie Foxx in that role. I wish Will Smith took it.
I want to see
Will Smith
bro,
just...
stop calling the shot. Like, it's not your movie. It's not your screenplay.
Right.
This is his movie. This is the vision. And I'm with you. I wish he took that role. I think Jamie Foxx did an amazing job, but he didn't want to do it because he felt that it should have been about something else. And it's like...
I had said yes to Django, but it was more about the creative direction of the story. To me, it's as perfect a story as you could ever want. A guy that learns how to kill to retrieve his wife that has been taken, as a slave. Like, to me, that's when I choose movies, I'm choosing the arc. I read the first 35 pages and I read the ending, right? And to me, that idea is perfect. And it was just that Quentin and I couldn't see. I wanted to make the greatest love story that African Americans had ever seen from American cinema.
They did that, Iris Love Jones.
Right, I know.
How did you say no to Quentin? Did you pick up the phone and call him?
No, you just have your people. No, I'm joking. No, but we talked, we met, we came, we talked, we sat for hours and hours and hours about it. I loved it. I wanted to make that movie so badly, but with that story, I felt the only way I could make that movie is it had to be a love story, not a vengeance story. I don't believe in violence as the reaction to violence. So when I'm looking at that, it's like, no. It has to be for love. The only way he can retrieve his love is to do this. He can't want to be this. No. Like, violence begets violence. For me, I just couldn't connect to violence being the answer. Love had to be the answer.
Well, he also felt that Christoph Waltz's character was more of the focus than Django, which maybe
no.
not. Like, I wouldn't say no. I mean, definitely when you have an actor the caliber of, Waltz kind of steals that movie. If you think about it,
Tarantino.
It's
just like,
I know it's that kind of collaboration, and he steals the movie. Like, there's no way you can do it.
Also make the argument that Colonel Lando steals the movie from Glorious Bastards,
right?
Which I honestly think he does.
Right.
It's just so much fun, yeah.
Right. So that was the excuse that he gave, but I think he could have brought something to that.
I think so too. It's like
role.
we're saying, like, no matter what, he's still a world-class actor, and he's going to bring his A game regardless. And it's just like I hope it's a situation where. I want him because I love. Who doesn't love Will Smith? Will Smith is fun. He's charismatic. He's such a fun actor. You can tell.
And you talk about, like, when we were coming up, in like the 90s,
Fresh
he was the biggest movie star.
Yeah, that's like, it was like him, Schwarzenegger, Tom Cruise, like these fucking icons growing up, and it's just like I think he. And we could be 100% wrong, but I feel like he just really needs to get out of that bubble. Like, dude, you're long detached.
Yeah.
Long detached. It's not Men in Black anymore. It's not Enemy of the State. It's not like you need to realize that it's a completely different time now. And also, kind of, we were going before, how Antoine Fuqua has kind of like been hit or miss recently. I think just for me personally, like, the last movie that I really enjoyed from him was like Equalizer. And then before that was like Shooter, which was like 2007, I believe it was.
Shooter was 2007, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
So it's like, I wasn't a big fan of the Magnificent Seven remake. I haven't seen Equalizer 2, so I can't go off of that. But it's like, you have two guys who are capable of making a fantastic film. So I'm just hoping that they can pull it off, because this has the potential to be a great collaboration, and I'm just hoping that it is.
I hope so too. And then I wanted to double back to Antoine Fuqua, because he I would agree he is a hit or miss, but he's a director whose career I would love to have, because he just seems like he's the type of guy that it doesn't matter what the genre is, he's going to go for it no matter what. And predominantly he's done action movies. But he's had like Tears of the Sun, which is a war movie. He's done. He's done.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
He's done King Arthur. You know what I mean? So
he did King Arthur.
He did King Arthur with Clive Owen.
And Keira Knightley and Mr. Fantastic. Ian Griffith.
And then Southpaw, which is the boxing movie. So
which
it's like,
I didn't like. I was not a fan of Southpaw.
Right, but it's just the fact that he's not afraid to jump in. I feel like he's not afraid to genre jump. So he's not kind of boxed into one thing,
which you should do.
Right. Yeah. And I that's one of the things that I really admire about him and admire about his career.
Look, you shouldn't do that, but I feel like when you do that, when you kind of genre jump, like you said, it allows your creative juices to see things differently. It allows you to approach things differently, and it allows you, at least I think, it allows you to grow creatively as a creative person when you're tackling so many different things. So
right.
That's amazing. I didn't know he did King Arthur.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That fucking movie. But yeah, hopefully they can. I think there's serious potential here if they I think you have the right people on board for this film.
Right, and then especially the story too. The fact that I think
Will
Smith is playing he's playing like a runaway slave who's trying to escape to the north to join the Union Army, which is a pretty awesome premise.
It has literally Oscar bait written all over it.
Yeah.
So let's just hope they can pull it off.
Absolutely. All right, so let's discuss a really fun project that I think we're kind of really jazzed up about, and it stars our.
I was like,
one of our.
I was like, wait, I totally forgot what we were going to talk about. You threw me off. Okay, yeah. One
of the all-time greatest actors of our generation. So, new images of Nicolas Cage's upcoming horror film Wally's Wonderland have surfaced. The film's plot is described as follows. A quiet drifter is tricked into a janitorial job at the new condemned Wally's Wonderland. The mundane tasks suddenly become an all-out fight for survival against a wave after wave of demonic animatronics. Fists fly, kicks land, titans clash, and only one side will make it out alive. The film was directed by Kevin Lewis, who is known for The Drop, which came out in 2006, and The Method, which came out in 1996. So he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And penned by Geo Parsons, whose only other writing credit is a TV film in 2011. It has been sold to most international territories, and a release date has yet to be announced.
Well, before I say anything, I spoke to Bob when he was doing show notes, and I'm like, make sure you mention the date on The Drop, because I don't want Nick to get confused with the Gandolfini movie.
Right.
But that aside, Bob, good job. Where do I sign up?
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Shut up and take my money.
This sounds bonkers. It sounds crazy.
But it's what we want.
But it's what we want, and it sounds like when I hear this premise, I kind of in my brain go back to my youngin' days of going to Chuck E. Cheese's for like a birthday party and seeing those fucking dancing robots that kind of creep me out at times, you know? And just in general, I feel like a theme park at night itself has a bit of like almost like a creepy or horror vibe. You're kind of like in this open space surrounded by this weird obstructed shapes.
Right.
You have like fucking stuffed animals everywhere you look. You have also animatronic statues. So it's right for like a sort of horror setting.
Yes.
Like I've always thought of myself like a horror movie in Disney World. Like I would always wanted to kind of see that. So I read this and I'm like, this sounds amazing, and this sounds up Nic Cage's alley.
Yes.
Like this is something that I feel he's
It's kind of fallen in line with the movies he's been doing for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
With like Mandy and The Color Out of Space.
Except I would say look, you can never get enough Nic Cage. We love Nic Cage. But I think like the Nic Cage meter in Mandy was turned to the point.
It was turned to 11.
It was turned to 11, but it worked in concept with that film, and it never felt over the top.
Yes.
At least for me personally.
Yes.
It always felt right. It always felt genuine. And like I said, it worked in regards to the film. In The Color Out of Space, even though it's a wacky movie, I felt like there were moments where it was dialed to 11, maybe 12 or 13 that didn't necessarily fit.
When he's talking about his alpacas and shit.
Holy shit. They should have been put back in the barn hours ago. You haven't even fed them yet, have you?
Dad, I tried, but...
What do you mean, you tried? Do you have any idea how much those animals cost us? They are alpacas. Alpacas.
Do you remember that?
Yes. Well, we've only seen it once. We saw it. We went to TIFF and we saw it at the.
And that was the day where we saw 3 movies in a row. Mm-hmm. So by the time we got to Color Out of Space, we were exhausted.
Yeah.
And that movie, to be fair, it already has cult status. Some people absolutely love the movie. It surprisingly got really good reviews. Mm-hmm. You know, if you know your movie history and you know who Richard Stanley is, you know he did the Island.
He was there, and
he was there. He was just as strange as you expect him to be.
He was literally like standing down the aisle.
We were like right there too. We were right next to him.
Like because that screening was held at one of the regular movie theaters that was there, so you couldn't really pick your assigned seating. So we got there. Like I said, we had just gotten out of I think it was Ford. Wasn't it Ford vs Ferrari?
Yes, and we had ran from the Ford vs
we
Ferrari
ran from
premiere.
Ford vs Ferrari to go see Collider Space, and we got there. It was already pretty packed, so then we had to get in. We had to pretty much get the front seats.
Yes,
and at the end of the movie, in like a lot of the other TIFF screenings, when they had like the cast or the director. He kind of came down to talk a little bit about the film, and he was just a strange dude, but I loved it.
Yeah, no, he's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I mean, like I was saying, like if you know about when his first studio film was The Island of Dr. Moreau with Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer.
Trouble and everything that happened.
If you guys get a chance, go read about the behind the scenes story. It is absolutely insane.
There was a documentary, right?
There was a documentary to the point where, just for a little bit of background to what happened, he gets fired, and then he gets fired, but he doesn't leave. He snuck onto the set dressed in one of the costumes of like the weird like 8 people. And was walking around like he's actually in the movie. The
thing
costume.
was like I checked the documentary out after you told me that because for the longest time I didn't realize that H.P. Lovecraft was an author. I thought H.P. Lovecraft was like a certain type of genre, so to speak, and where all these movies
which it is though.
It is now. It's become that.
But obviously, yes, H.P. Lovecraft, yeah.
But Bones, we were talking about it. You told me about everything. That's kind of when I went and checked out the documentary, and it's something. So I definitely recommend people checking it out. But excuse me. Sorry, the beer. Oof. But like we were saying, there were just certain times in Collider Space where, like you said, with the alpacas,
it's over the top.
It's a little over the top, and it just takes me out of it, and it doesn't feel. It feels like the director's being like, I want more Nic Cage. Yeah. But give me more Nic Cage.
Crazy,
go crazy. And but I didn't feel that in Mandy. In Mandy, even though it's a fucking crazy movie,
it's a crazy movie,
and it's a fantastic movie.
It's so good, and you know
check it out. It's so strange. It's so weird, but it's so amazing.
I had a conversation with one of my buddies. Shout out Matt Smith. And he's the type of guy that loves these sorts of B movies, and he loves Mandy. And like, and he asked me about it, and he's like. He asked me what I thought about it, and then I was like, Mandy's a movie that's really fucking good, but I can never recommend it to anybody unless they are into those sorts of movies. And I don't even
know how to describe it.
I don't even know either.
I don't. And it's got a weird cliffhanger. You're like, wait, so were we just like, it's such a strange film.
But like, it's one of those things where it's like, if anyone was to ask me to describe it, I would just be like, Nic Cage gets into a chainsaw fight. Go watch it. That's all I would say.
Nic Cage screams in the bathroom for 5 minutes,
and it's his underwear, and it's a fantastic scene.
Yeah, and also you shout out Matt Smith. I also want to shout out Matt Diemich, who was with us at TIFF.
Yes,
the third member of the effing nerds.
Yes, the silent member of the effing nerds. But he is an effing nerd.
Yeah, but yeah, that. I hope it's more. I just hope that for this, it's more in line with that because I'm not too crazy. I'll be honest. I'm not too crazy about this sort of creative team.
Me neither.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean? Because it's just like it's a bunch of people that haven't really made a splash in the business.
Yeah, and I was looking at their resume, and it wasn't intriguing. That doesn't mean that they can't do a great job.
Right.
Doesn't mean that at all. But it's not really encouraging.
Yes.
So I hope that it's good because this is a premise. Like I said, this is a premise that I've been wanting to see for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This sort of like theme park at night, come alive, crazy shit. Bring some Nic Cage crazy flavor.
Yes.
I'm all in. I am all in, and I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to the trailer.
Yeah.
Because for me, also like you were saying, like when you were talking about B movie, this to me, I just read this, and this to me feels like something that would go in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
I feel like if I was doing like a marathon of like 80s horror movies, and you snuck this, obviously we haven't seen anything from it yet other than stills. But if you snuck this movie into that 80s horror movie marathon, I feel like it would fit.
100%.
Like, so I'm
like
excited.
That's the kind of premise that it has.
That's the kind of premise, the kind of feel that I'm getting from it. So, and 80s movies instead. Nick knows this. I one time, horror is my favorite genre. I did a fucking binge of the best horror movies from every decade. And 70s and 80s fucked me up. Oof.
Yeah, there's some rough ones.
There's some movies in there that I'm like, that was amazing, but I'm never watching that ever again. Right. So just from everything that I've seen, obviously there's a ton of more stuff that I haven't seen from the 80s, but this is something that kind of falls in line with that. Like I kind of feel falls into that aesthetic. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see this movie.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see a trailer.
I know.
I'm so pumped.
Yeah, and honestly, who doesn't love a good Nic Cage movie?
Yeah.
Like let's be real here. So jumping forward, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is back animated style.
Yep.
So Nickelodeon is rebooting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the big screen with Point Grey Pictures, Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and James Weaver producing. Jeff Rowe, known for Gravity Falls and Connecticut, will direct the film, with Brendan O'Brien, known for Neighbors, Sorority Rising, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, penning the script. Unlike the last two live-action films that were released in 2014 and 2016, the movie version of the Turtles will be completely animated, with Paramount handling the global distribution yet again. So this is really interesting, and it's also like has a really cool creative team. Like just seeing some of these names, and
It definitely has an interesting creative team.
But it's like I'm curious what these guys are going to bring to it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's with Nickelodeon, obviously it's going to be for kids, so It's not like we're going to have a sausage party situation.
It's not going to be a sausage party situation, not at all.
But yeah, I mean it's totally cool. Obviously, the live action films were kind of disappointing, I think, to some people, and so hopefully this is somewhat of a return to form to the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the first one. The first one, there was a lot of it. Shout out to #the Eric Miller.
The Eric Miller.
One day, him and I, we were alone at the MILF. We hung out, and then we went to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we were like the only people in the theater. And yeah, there's some parts about it that I enjoy. The thing about this to me that I really like is the fact that this, when you have this sort of production team or this sort of creative team of Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, I feel like this is more in line with the stuff that works. When I think of them, I think of like The Boys. When I think of Disaster Artist, when I think of Preacher, what's the movie called? What's the show with Josh Hutcherson? Something Man.
Oh, Future Man.
Future Man. Thank you. I've never seen it, but it's gotten rave reviews.
And the fact that it's still going.
It's still going. Yeah. So I think this is more in line with that, and also what I'm more kind of drawn towards. Like, you know, it's fun to see the traditional Seth Rogen sort of, like we were talking about, the slacker humor, where all he does is does drugs, gets high, and just does stupid shit. Like, yeah, it's fun to see that every now and then. But me personally, I gravitate more towards that stuff, like The Preacher, The Boys, like stuff that they clearly understand, that they clearly know, and that even though The Boys season 1, which is phenomenal, it's very different than the comic. A lot of stuff, a lot of the, it's just different. I'm gonna cut myself before I
would also say it's one of those things where they do it so well, because sometimes. And you see this a lot with adaptations. Mm-hmm. Sometimes what is written on the page is not going to work for what goes on screen. So I think they did it smart how they did it.
But even like Robin's death, the way the Robin's death could have been pulled from the comics and worked just as well.
Right.
But they just did it a different way, and it still worked.
That's also not a spoiler. That happens in the first episode.
And I'm pretty sure it's in the trailer.
Yes, it is. I think it is in the trailer.
Yeah. If it is, bro, it's been out for a while. Okay.
Go watch The Boys.
If we did spoil it for you, then we'll go fuck ourselves, like we always say. It's fine. But like I'm saying, like that sort of source material is that they execute, I feel works better. Is what I kind of gravitate towards. So something like this, I feel falls more in line with that sort of source material. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like you said, like this is an interesting choice, but they're clearly doing it for a reason. Probably because I'm sure they're passionate about it. And like you said, they're no strangers to Sausage Party because of I'm sorry. They're no stranger to animation because of Sausage Party. But even though Sausage Party was like fun and ridiculous, that was more of like and I don't mean this to disrespect anyone or to be offensive, but it was more like just kind of generic animation.
Yeah,
it was like nothing really special about it. It was stuff that we've seen for a while, almost like easy. Like they just kind of whipped it up real quick. So I'm excited to see if they're probably going to do something new, kind of like with Spider-Verse, and introduce some sort of like new sort of animation style.
I was just thinking that, like I would love
to
see if it had some Spider-Verse type of animation style.
Because we've seen some great animation over the years. If you guys haven't seen Love, Death, and Robots, go watch episode 4. I was telling Nick about it forever. Yeah. Go watch The Witness. It's episode 4 of Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix. It was created by Tim Miller, director of Deadpool. And the animation for that is fantastic. It's very similar. It's very in line with the Spider-Verse, with the Into the Spider-Verse animation. So go check that out. But yeah, I'm excited to see if they're probably going to do something or try to introduce some sort of new animation style for this film, because this is fucking ninjas.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, let's see, like, try to get crazy. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. So, yeah.
You know, and it's really cool. I was watching Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, Jerry Seinfeld's show, and he had Seth Rogen on, and it was such a quick comment of like, you miss it, but he's like, how many things are you working on? And he's basically like, oh, I have like 4 movies, I have 3 TV shows. So it's like that you don't realize how him and his buddy Evan Goldberg, like all this stuff that they're producing like nowadays, like it's a lot. Like I'm sure most people that are listening to this didn't know that they did The Boys, that they did Preacher, that those are all their shows. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy the fact that him and Evan Goldberg just have this crazy partnership, and just how busy these guys are and what they've done.
There was a great interview with Kimmel when Jack Quaid was on Kimmel, and he's talking about how like he'll just be like he'll be getting ready to do a scene, and then he'll just hear like the Seth Rogen laugh like in the distance, which I imagine it happens all the time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, they're busy, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this because I feel like this is I don't think it was. I think this was picked up by them for a reason. I think they have a clear idea of something that they want to do.
They probably have a vision for it. And it's I look at it the same way as David Gordon Green and Danny McBride doing Halloween. Like they obviously have some sort of passion for it, and they want to work on it. You know what I mean? It's probably stuff that they love, and they, like I said, they have a clear vision for what they want to do. And
it's like we were saying too. Throwback a couple months to episode 2 where like these sort of comedic talents are leaning more into horror, like Jordan Peele, John Krasinski with Quiet Place, what's his name? Danny McBride, Danny McBride, going and writing essentially all the Halloween movies. So yeah, let them again, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, when you think of them, you think more of like a comedy route or a comedy aspect, but they're talented. They're talented producers.
It's showing just how diverse they are.
Yeah, they are exactly. Yeah. And like I said, I'm excited for this, and I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what they're going to do in terms of animation. I'm hoping that they kind of do something new or try to push some sort of boundaries in regards to what has sort of come out over the past couple of years.
Right. All right, so let's jump into some DC news. And I know we talk DC a lot on this show, but it's also case in point because Marvel has been extremely quiet this whole quarantine.
And because why not?
And because
we love DC.
The fuck not? So this was actually somewhat of a big bombshell that was dropped recently, and well, fuck it, let's just jump into it. So actor Rey Fisher, who played Cyborg in 2017's Justice League, took to social media to express his concerns over the people involved in the making of the film. Fisher tweeted the following, and hold on to your butts. Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. He was enabled in many ways by Jeff Johns and John Berg. Accountability apparently is greater than entertainment. He has also been very vocal about his appreciation towards Zack Snyder and got emotional in a live stream regarding the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League project. Fisher is set to return as Cyborg in said project sometime next year. So this, there's a lot of things to unpack here. One of them being that when you are following actors on a press tour, do not buy into anything that they say about the project because they're under contract, they're getting paid.
Especially DCEU actors.
And they have to say these things.
Yeah.
Secondly, this is unfortunately another knock against Joss Whedon, who has been under some scrutiny for the last couple of years. Not to get too into his personal life, but his ex-wife has come out and kind of called him out on a few things. And then just like in general, things have come up about how he's treated actors on the set of Buffy and Angel. And this also furthers the rumors that a lot of the cast in Justice League were unhappy with how he was handling the reshoots. One of them being Gal Gadot, who refused to shoot one of the scenes. You probably know from the tunnel battle,
right?
When it's supposed to be a joke that Flash kind of falls into Wonder Woman's chest. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And Gal Gadot did not want to shoot it because she disagreed with the scene in general, which I totally agree because it's a completely cheap joke to tell. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that there was a stunt double for Wonder Woman, and they filmed it with the stunt double against Gal Gadot's wishes.
Which is why her face is turned.
In that scene. And when Rey Fisher tweeted this out, that stunt double commented on it saying, basically showing support for Rey Fisher in saying that. So,
not to cut you off, but I don't understand why he did that. When he did the same thing in Ultron when Hulk falls on. Remember, she's like, "Don't turn green."
Right.
So it's like,
come on.
Like, why are you doing the same shit again?
Look, for as much credit as you want to give Joss Whedon, look, he's had his hand in a lot of fantastic projects. He's done some really great work. I understand that Justice League was under a lot of time constraints and it had a lot of issues way before he came on board. But that doesn't also give him a complete pass because some of the stuff that he put in was really lazy and cheap. I always go back to the scene between Diane Lane and Amy Adams.
The worst fucking scene.
The worst scene, some of the worst written dialogue.
And some of the worst acting. Like, I hate that scene so much.
Well, because I'm sure they just didn't... if you look at a lot of these reshoots, it looks like a lot of the actors just didn't want to be there.
Yeah, I hate that scene so much.
It's such a bad scene.
Totally forgot about it.
They make Diane Lane...
It's a her.
They make Diane Lane sound like she's 90 years old with some of the dialogue that she's spouting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's almost embarrassing. Like, it really is. So... and what does this mean for Rey Fisher? The fact that he's saying this. So there's two ways you could look at it, and I've seen back and forth rumors about this. One of them being that the fact that AT&T is now in charge of Time Warner. He now has new bosses, so he can kind of talk shit if he wants to. There was rumors that there was going to be a Cyborg TV show on HBO Max, and there was also more rumors that he was going to be in the Flash movie. So one of them being that he's secure in his position at Warner Brothers and working on these projects, so now he can just say whatever he wants. Then the flip side of it, which I saw today, is that he is not going to be in the Flash, and the rumored Cyborg TV show is not happening. And he only sent out this tweet. He didn't give specifics. He didn't give a lot of stuff, but to me, this just confirms all those rumors that we heard way back in 2017 after Justice League came out. Is that when Joss Whedon came on and completely flipped everything that was going on, the cash just was not behind it. And this also goes on top of, regardless of how we feel about Jeff Johns, those toxic, fans are just going to go after him again now.
Those toxic fans are going to go after him, and that's the thing that, like we said, that's the thing that bothers me. When David Ayer says, "Oh, Jeff Johns called for a certain scene in my Suicide Squad cut," or something like this, it just adds more fuel to that fire. But at the same time, I've never been a big, this.
I know.
Since day fucking one,
Yes.
I've said I don't understand why this guy has so much power. It just doesn't make sense to me. In film. I just they literally "Oh, you've written great comic books. Here you go." Like, literally take the reins. It just did not make any sense to me. On the flip side, though, he is kind of starting to come into his own because he's been around for a couple of years now, kind of learning how the live action world works. Stargirl, I've only seen 2 episodes and I've really enjoyed. He co-wrote Wonder Woman. So it kind of seems like he found his footing. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything sort of plays out.
Right.
But at the same time, like, this is what's rough, is that as much as you want to appreciate someone's work, like Joss Whedon and other stuff that he's done, it's just, it sucks to realize that, like, a lot of stuff that you maybe have heard over the years is probably true. It sucks to know that someone who you kind of admire and look up to as an artist is an asshole.
Right.
It stings.
Yeah.
And it's right now, it's just kind of like a wait and see game of everything that's going to happen. Like I was saying with Jeff Johns, he's got some projects in development right now, and just over the past couple months, some news is starting to fall out. It's adding to that toxicity of going after him, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, we're just going to have to see how everything sort of plays out. And in regards to Rey Fisher, good for him. Like, I said this many times before, he was my favorite part of Justice League. I know we've said that we felt shortchanged with Justice League because of what we didn't get. But the second that movie was over, I was like, I love Rey Fisher as his character, as Victor Stone. I thought he brought so much to that role in what we got. So I'm excited to see.
And it wasn't even that much.
And that wasn't even his.
Right.
And that wasn't even like the real role. So I'm excited to see what we get from him in Snyder's vision. He just looks like a good person in general, and good for him for regardless of why he did it, it's almost a little bit encouraging, because now you probably give a platform, or you kind of encourage some other people who probably didn't want to speak out. You give them a chance to be like, okay, I'm just going to ride this. Like, he already put a foot forward, so I'm just going to follow him and be like you're saying, like with the stunt woman. Maybe Gal Gadot comes out and says something. I don't know if she already had, but that like by doing that, you put yourself in a tough situation, but at the same time, you're possibly empowering people to almost get stuff off their chest. So good for him, and really, we'll just see how everything plays out from here on out.
Right, and I have a little bit more development on this too, because John Berg actually responded to Rey Fisher's comments. Okay, this is the response he gave. It is categorically untrue that we enabled any unprofessional behavior. I remember Fisher being upset that we wanted him to say "booyah," which is well-known saying for Cyborg. That's it. That's all he had to say about it.
I don't know. We'll see. Like I don't really know John Berg too much. Like in terms of like producers, the only thing that I really know or that I recall was Chuck Rogan when he was at the
Justice League premiere.
Yeah, and he was talking about how like Zack had to step aside. Like he was just really selling it, when in reality we all know he was fired. Or we speculate, we believe. That's personally what I believe. So yeah.
Oh, it's all right. I'll come out and say it. I think that's a bullshit fucking comment.
Yeah, and it's fucked up.
Like, really, Rey Fisher has these accusations. You're gonna say the only reason he was upset is because he had to say "booyah" in the movie? Really?
I doubt it.
I fucking doubt it.
And it goes to show of why he got so emotional.
Right.
Because there's probably like this guy, his first movie, someone like Zack kind of really believes in him and is giving him,
basically puts him center stage.
Yeah, of arguably what could be one of the biggest movies of all time.
Right.
Like the very first time that we're seeing this, and you obviously, it's like we were saying, like as an artist, you want to give the best product that you can. So when it's like the first time being in the public eye of so many people on such a big project, and it doesn't go the way you know it could be,
right?
It sucks.
Yeah,
it fucking sucks. And Fence got the reference. Go back to Chef when he's like, "It hurts. Yeah. It fucking hurts.
It fucking hurts."
You asshole!
I love that movie.
Yeah, so good. So he probably has a lot built up, and to know that like Zack is going to get his chance to see his vision through, which means we're going to see what I believe is great, and people could possibly appreciate it. And that's probably why he just got so emotional in that one interview, in that one stream. So,
and the other hope for it too is that it comes out, and regardless of the quality of the movie, just that Rey Fisher crushes it, and that other people in the industry can see it and be, because like he really hasn't gotten that much work outside of True Detective season 3. He hasn't been in anything.
No, and
you know what I mean?
Almost expect him to kind of blow up.
Right. So the hope is that people see this and it's like, oh, he has a lot of skills. Let's put him in this movie. You know what I mean?
Because, I don't even know if he did more Broadway shows.
I don't think he has,
because I know they found him off of Broadway.
Right. Yeah. And also another little bit of cool development. People have been coming out in support for Rey Fisher and what he said. J.D. Dillard has come out and said
That's the Star Wars director guy, right?
Who did the superhero movie Slight.
Yes, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. But he wants first dibs on the Cyborg movie. That's what he tweeted out. But good for him. Good for him, and good for Rey Fisher for that, because like I feel like a lot of people, especially actors and crew members, and maybe not so much actors, but I definitely think crew members for sure. I think they take a lot of shit from a lot of directors, and I feel like a lot of directors out there, especially ones that we love, are really shitty people. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. It sucks.
And it's what sucks. So good for him for actually coming out, because this like back in the day, maybe not so much now, but back in the day, this would be career suicide, because you can't talk shit about big name directors in the movie. You get blacklisted.
Even now, especially
now. So he's still taking a risk coming out and saying this. So like I applaud him for this. But I think it's not as bad now as it was back then, because people don't tolerate this bullshit anymore. You know what I mean? Like this is the kind of stuff that we're starting to see.
Even despite the fact that we're all more connected nowadays,
right?
It's starting to be. People are starting to like step up a little more and not
when
really
you
tolerate shit.
And when you have support behind you as well, so the next thing that DC comes out with, because of all this bad press, like if people don't go see it, this could be a negative side effect to that. You know what I mean? For just not supporting it, because just in the sole principle that it's like you can't treat actors like this. You can't treat people like this. So
right, and that's why I'm like saying you get the ball rolling. So then it's like you're. I believe it's brave for him to come out and say that, because like you said, it could be career suicide, but at the same time, it then allows people who maybe have a smaller voice, and it gives them it makes their voice a little louder to be like, thank you for like finally coming out and saying this. Now I can probably give in my 2 cents and support you and kind of get some shit off my chest. So
right.
Yeah, it's not great, Bob, but yeah, at this point it's just really a wait and see, especially with everything that's going on with they changed people. They've changed from like this. Just goes to show, just really, again, granted, if it is true, which we pretty much believe it is, it just really goes to show that they did not have good people. But with the accusations that came out against Walter Hamada, with this.
Oh, you mean Kevin Tsuchihara?
I'm sorry, Kevin Tsuchihara. Yeah, with that, just a whole bunch of stuff. So, hopefully we'll.
Well, I would also say if you want some kind of light at the end of the tunnel, it seems like that the current pairing of Walter Hamada and Jim Lee is working. Like it seems like what they're doing. I feel like they seem like they have like some missteps aside. It seems like they now kind of have somewhat of an idea of what they want to do and the type of work they want to put out. So my hope is that this is the dream team now. Now we have the proper people in charge that know what they're doing and have a clear vision as to what this is supposed to be and what everything's supposed to look like. Yeah,
and that's why I said in the last episode how they're gaining my trust, because some of the decisions that are being made, a lot of times, in the previous years when decisions were made, I just rolled my eyes at it. I'm like, I don't buy this at all. Right. But now I feel confident. I'm like, okay, what you're doing makes sense, seems smart. So like, okay, let's just kind of see how things play out. And in bigger picture, yeah, let's just see how everything else plays. Because like I said, Jeff Johns right now, he's got his foot in some pretty big projects.
Yeah.
So
one being the big Green Lantern show for HBO Max.
The Green Lantern show. He's got Stargirl. He's taking more of like a writing role. And like I said, he wrote Wonder Woman 1984. He's one of the co-writers on that story.
Right.
So,
and he worked with Affleck on the Batman script, which from what I've heard, most people that have read it said that they loved it. The fact that it didn't get made was because Affleck left. And he just didn't want to do it anymore.
In that case, I always kind of lean. In that case, I was not. Because he always said how there was reports of how they couldn't come to a sort of. They couldn't get the script right.
Which I don't believe that though.
I don't know.
I really don't. I think when Affleck left and all that stuff got tossed out was when Snyder got booted, because I think like a lot of things, because like that old regime was still in charge, and I think that they basically were like, we're going in a different direction now.
No, but I'm talking about that's what Ben Affleck said. Ben Affleck said that he couldn't.
Oh yeah, but this goes back to my Ray Fisher thing, where it's like I don't believe.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't believe what anybody says on a press tour anymore.
But in that sense, we'll play hypotheticals. In that sense, if it is like Ben Affleck really meaning saying that him and I couldn't come to understanding. If you're telling me that Ben Affleck and Jeff Johns couldn't come to understanding on a movie script about the Batman, I don't care how good of a comic book writer Jeff Johns is. I'm going to take the fucking Oscar winner in Hollywood,
who's been in this business for like 30
forever.
years.
I'm going to take his word. So if he's telling me he can't come to like collaborate well, then I'm just going to put the weight on Jeff Johns. That's just how I see it. Right. So yeah, shit's coming out. And right now, it's just a wait and see game of how everything is going to play out. And, we'll see.
We'll see. Let's stay on DC. Let's talk about something a little bit more fun and a little bit more hopeful and not so down in the dumps. It was recently announced that Michael Keaton is in early talks to reprise his role as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Further details revealed the Flash movie would see Ezra Miller's Barry Allen travel back in time to save his mother and create an alternate universe where Keaton's Batman has been operating. The DCEU film will pick up with Keaton's character 30 years after we saw him last, with the Flash movie retconning Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Oh, shit.
R.I.P. Joel.
It has also been reported that Keaton will be suiting up again as Batman, with some speculating that the costume could be inspired by Kingdom Come, a 4-issue comic book from the 90s that saw an older Bruce Wayne donning an enhanced exoskeleton type of suit. Warner Bros. Has yet to comment on the matter, with some people, aka us, speculating that it will be confirmed at this year's DC Fandome virtual event in August.
Fandome.
So fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
Like yes, give me Keaton, give me an updated version of his Batsuit. I mean, if it wants to be Kingdom Come inspired, I'm not mad about that. I think that'd be really cool to see. And yeah, man.
I mean, well, more stuff have kind of like when the shit came out on the other last time when we were first doing the episode, and it kind of broke and we both lost our minds. Like little nuggets have kind of sprinkled and kind of come out here and there. And yeah, it's still yet to be confirmed. But when you kind of imagine these, when you picture Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, these sort of major outlets running with the story, you almost feel like it's done.
Well,
like it's a done deal.
So when you get major trades saying in talks, it's almost a done deal. Like something major has to happen.
It's a litmus test
for the talks to fall through.
Yeah.
Like that. Like that's where they're at. They're at a point where they're almost ready to sign a contract. Like there has to be some kind of catastrophic event that causes them to fall out with whatever's happening.
Like a global pandemic.
Coronavirus!
Basically, but yeah,
yeah, like I'm saying, like litmus test. You put it out there, and then you just wait for everyone to bite and be like, "Oh my god!" Everyone lose their shit. So you're like, "Haha!"
Right.
It's the right choice. But yeah, originally it was stated that he was going to play like the Sam Fury role, and he was going to be like a mentor and kind of be the guy behind the guy in the chair, essentially calling the shots. But now we're learning that no, he's actually most likely going to suit up and
be the Batman.
Be the Batman,
the
yeah.
DC universe.
Which, like we said, I'm still not too thrilled about it, because if I'm thinking about the Justice League going to war, I'm going to have like a 6-year-old Batman fighting there. Like, hey, look, it works in the comics. It doesn't mean it's going to work here. However, I think that's where the sort of Kingdom Come aspect goes into play, where you have a sort of like enhanced suit that will give him the ability to not break a hip when fighting some parademons.
And that's also the best thing about modern technology is that you can have stuntmen, you could have CG. So
so you're telling me in BVS when Batman and Superman were fighting, that was not Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck?
That was not.
What?
I know, mind blown, right?
So crazy.
But and the other thing too is you have an actor of Keaton's caliber. So regardless of the fact that he is older, and while it might on paper might be a little bit disappointing that we don't have a younger Batman fighting, Keaton just has that presence, and he's shown that in both of his Batman films, the type of presence he has as Bruce Wayne and as Batman, and he's great as both. So while it's for me, like I have a little bit of mixed feelings about it, the fact that we're going from Affleck to Keaton, and that Keaton's going to be now the Batman of this DCEU world. I'm on board with it, and I feel like they know what they're doing with this decision. And even though it was reported that he's in like a Nick Fury role, I think he's going to be way more involved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Originally, we thought like just like even when you say Nick Fury role, that still means a heavy involvement, because you're essentially going to be scattered throughout all the films for the most part. If you really look at how Samuel L. Jackson kind of comes in here, pops in here and there. So regardless, you almost have the idea, okay, he's going to have a pretty big role. But now when you get this notion of like, no, he is going to don the suit, he is going to dress up again, you're like, okay, clearly there's some more shit going on. And that's kind of what it's looking like, that he's going to be kind of take over after Barry kind of fucks up the timeline and fucks up the
multiverse?
No, what's the word? Like creates another world, essentially. It fucks up the world against the Earth. Fucks up the Earth. Whatever. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. And I want, like, I'm hoping for like a moment of kind of like when they're kind of like in Justice League, when he comes back and then Aquaman starts like, when Steppenwolf gets the fucking mother box off of a Civic, you know, that moment, and they all go back to the Batcave and they're all fighting, and like Aquaman's throwing stuff. I'm looking forward to that moment where he kind of like, where shit goes down, if it happens. Who knows? But it will be amazing if it does. If they go back to the Batcave and he just starts like, hey, what do you think? Yeah. Like, huh? You're a fucking kid. Right. I'm Batman. I've done this for 30 years. You fucking listen to me. You know, like, and it's crazy, like Michael Keaton. Like,
yes.
Like, man, there's like I'm hoping we get something like that, and that would be glorious. But
because people forget, man. Keaton can also turn it up to 11.
Yeah.
And get crazy.
He gets crazy. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Like some like Beetlejuice flavor, some like a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. I'm with you. It's not like going from Batfleck, who is just, to me, is physically just literally
probably the best representation of Batman.
It is, in my opinion. It is really the best version of physically the best version of on-screen Batman. So yeah, it goes back to the whole notion of that we are going to there is a possibility, people, that we're going to get 2 Batman next year in Zack Snyder's Justice League, in the Batman movie from Matt Reeves, and then we're going to get a trailer with Keaton back.
Right.
A lot of Batman.
Lot of Batman.
Lots of Batman. And give me it all. Give me all the Batman hot dogs.
Right. And then, too, just like Michael Keaton for me is just one of my all-time favorite actors. Mm-hmm. And to see him back on screen as Batman already has the nostalgia just like going crazy. So like just give me, whether it's in The Flash or just give me that one scene where he's just on top of a roof, just brooding, looking at the back signal, and it's playing his classic theme.
That's what I'm saying. We need to score. I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, just give me that, and I am going to cry like a little bitch in the theater because of seeing that.
I was about to tell you that. Like, do you think they should bring back the score?
I think they should.
I think they should too.
I think you have to.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
I really, they have to bring back that score.
Regardless of the fact that they tried to do it in Justice League and it just didn't fit.
I'm opposite. There's a lot of problems with it, but I personally did enjoy some of like the more like upbeat Danny Elfman music that he sprinkled throughout, just from like a nostalgic purposes. Like, it reminded me of Beetlejuice, reminded me of Batman. Like, there were certain things that just warmed my heart a little bit. But even that moment when he flies out of the flying fox, and it's very subtle, but you hear it, it gets me jacked up. But more just like a nostalgia
for nostalgia.
Yeah, it's like you get excited. So. But I'm with you. I think you have to bring back that score. I want to see it too. I want either something where Barry runs into the cave and he's looking around in that Batcave. I'm still debating if I want updated machinery, like the Bat computer, if I want like an updated version, or if I want like
you want to keep it like classic.
Keep it just how it is there, just like it's like running on it's like 12 battery.
Right.
With like crazy modem Wi-Fi or whatever. But like and he just kind of comes out of shadows. It's like dun 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 dun, you know.
Because that's the thing too, like that's like regardless of with Christian Bale and then with Ben Affleck, they've got themes that have fit in their universe, but the Danny Elfman Keaton Batman score is the quintessential Batman music, regardless of however you want to swing it. Like, I love Hans Zimmer's score. We really didn't kind of get a sense of the Batman theme that Junkie XL was doing. Hopefully it's a little bit more prominent in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but that score is the Batman score.
And my favorite Batman score is Descent into Mystery. I love that
Which
score
is
so much.
Batman Returns, right?
No, that's when him and Vicky Vale are going back.
When they're driving in the Bat. Yeah.
Where are we going?
And I was like off topic, but you get a little bit of that in Dark Knight Rises when he first saves Catwoman in the plane and they're kind of flying through the skies.
There's like a little nod to that.
Yeah, like you zoom in on him there, like looking all brooding. You see her like confused. Such a great scene, such a great moment. But I remember when I first saw that, it took me right back to that Descent into Mystery scene. And I love that score. And you have you have to bring back the fucking score.
Absolutely.
The Ice Cream Man.
Oh shit!
It's fine. Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
But we're all looking forward to DC fandom in August, and hopefully we get some more concrete, news on this, which I think it's going to.
Willing to bet the $3.47 in my bank account that we are going to get the confirmation.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that they might not confirm it until DC fandom because it's their event, so they're going to want to have some big news to drop.
And do it. Drop the bomb, like literally make a splash.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so now on to our final topic of the day, a little bit of Pirates of the Caribbean news. Christina Hodgson, who wrote Birds of Prey, is reteaming with Harley Quinn herself in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean reboot. Margot Robbie is set to star and lead an all-female cast in a new project that is being described as an entirely original story with no connection to the previous film starring Johnny Depp. The project is still in early development, with the plot's details being kept under wraps. I mean,
sure.
I guess. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't know. I really don't have any thoughts about this one way or the other. I mean, it's cool. Like, I love the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I think the last 2 are absolute trash. Just to put it bluntly, it's gonna be weird to watch a Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
The last one wasn't that bad with Brandon Thwaites, the Dead Man Tell No Tales.
I have. You know, fuck it. Let me go into it.
Sure.
Let me go into it.
Yeah.
The movie is completely disrespectful to the Captain Jack Sparrow character, because the idea of Captain Jack is that he comes off as a buffoon, but he's actually really smart and he actually knows what he's doing. In Pirates 5, he's an idiot. He's a complete idiot where he just gets lucky every single scene that he's in terms of like an action scene or what's going on. He just gets lucky. In the other ones, it's not like that. He's actually really smart. He actually knows what's happening.
He always has a plan.
He always has a plan, regardless of whether or not it's a good one. Like, he always has an idea of what's happening. He's just complete. Which I will say this: Pirates 5 starts out with him kind of having lost his way. Which at first I was on board. I was like, all right, this is cool. I like this. He's lost his way, and by the end he'll find it. By the end he goes nowhere. He's still in the same spot he was when he starts the movie off.
Okay, you have to remind me because I haven't seen him. What is that? The one? Which is the one when he sees all the Jacks?
That's at World's End. That's the third one. That's the third one.
Gotcha.
To me, I hold like if you want to call them guilty pleasures, it's fine. I hold sacred those first 3 movies that Gore Verbinski did, because I think that they are somewhat of an anomaly, because nobody is making movies like that with that kind of budget anymore. Mm-hmm. And the special effects alone are phenomenal. I think they're still ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Davy Jones is one of the best fully rendered CG characters, and to this day looks better than most characters in movies that are full blown CG.
100% agree.
I just love it. Even though the 2 sequels that Gore Verbinski did are overloaded on plot, and they're just huge, and they're just big, and they're bombastic.
They're extra. Like, when you think of like the leap, when you think of the leap from the first one to the second one, it's like, okay, we're going to have them fighting on like a fucking hamster wheel, and then you go to the third one, we're going to have them fighting on a ship in a tornado, like in the water, on like a fucking post. Like,
right.
It just doubled down.
It doubles down.
Crazy, yeah.
But and some people don't agree. I know you're not that big a fan of the third one as much as I am.
It's fine. But I think in terms of like, but yeah, like when you think of like the 4, yeah, it's okay. I didn't like the 4th one. With, even though it's you like the fact that you're bringing in Ian McShane as Captain Barbossa. Like, how are you not like?
Well, Blackbeard.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
as Blackbeard. It's like you see that name, like Ian McShane as Blackbeard, Penelope Cruz as his daughter, right?
Yes.
It's like you're like, oh, this is amazing.
It should work,
and
it didn't. Well, that's the thing too, because like I think the director was Bill Condon. I think did the 4th.
Is that the guy who did Beauty and the Beast?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did.
He was the one who was supposed to do the
Dreamgirls, I think. And
he was supposed to do the Angelina Jolie
Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah. But he's like you watch the movie and it's just boring. Like, it just lacks that sense of fun. It lacks that sense of adventure, which those first 3 movies have. Regardless of how you feel about the 2 sequels, I agree that they're over the top. I agree they're absolutely filled with plot, but it's just there's so much fun, and it's just a big, just absolutely epic adventure.
Yeah.
The last 2 films just were completely lacking that. I will say that the 5th movie did have a really good action sequence with the whole thing where I think they're robbing a bank. They're trying to steal something.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. And then they're actually dragging the bank through the town.
Yes.
All right, that's what I'm thinking of.
That's a really good sequence. I will give it that. I really did enjoy that. But just everything else to me did not.
Because I was more into like the over the line, like just ridiculousness from like. I always just kind of harness back to that moment of like at World's End when it's like Captain Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones fighting on like the beam.
Yeah,
as the ship
they're on
is,
like the mast as it's going down this.
I'm
this,
like,
this,
how
this
is this? But you're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, why not? And then Captain Rose is literally marrying them as he's
That's
like,
what I mean.
he's
like
saying the thing as
ridiculous.
he's like,
but
it's
for,
like, this
for
is so
some
dumb.
reason, dude, I couldn't tell you why. On paper, it sounds stupid, but for some reason, it just fucking works.
No, I mean it's like you said, it's enjoyable. There are some but to me, like I like the first one. I really enjoyed the second one, even though it got a little more ridiculous. The third one, I was like, okay, it's a little too much, but it's still enjoyable. I agree. The fourth one is just boring, and even though they introduced so many elements with like, remember the mermaids?
Yes.
Like all that stuff. Like there's just so much cool stuff they introduced, which just didn't work. And then the fifth one, to me, it was enjoyable. It was a little better than the fourth one, but still just didn't really match up to.
Right.
And at that point, I figured it was dead. I'm like,
Yeah.
at this point, I don't think it's gonna come back.
Like it's not going to come back. And apparently, from what this news that I read, is they're still developing another movie in the same, I guess, universe as the Johnny Depp movies. That's still.
Well, they said that it's not going to be a spin-off. They said this is not going to be a spin-off.
Right. No,
so
but I'm saying this is something different, I guess, but still under Zero, which is fine. I mean, it's cool. Like I love Margot Robbie, so any more movies with her, I'm absolutely down for. If you want to do some pirate stuff, cool. I don't know what. I'm curious to see what the story's going to be. I mean, this was just announced, so it's hard to really get a gauge on my opinions about it without knowing anything more than the fact that Margot Robbie's in it and it's an all-female cast and that Christina Hodgins is writing it. And that's basically it.
We're going to hold the moment because we have to get our tacos.
Okay.
The tacos are here.
So
I'll be right back.
All right.
I'm going to go get the tacos.
We'll pause that.
A few moments later.
All right, and we're back with some tacos in hand.
Tacos. Probably some of the best Mexican food right here from LA or New York or Michigan. Who knows where we're from? It's
a mystery.
Shout out Taqueria.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so how do you feel about this whole project?
I'm okay. I have some the current behind you, by the way. We're live. The first thing that comes to mind is that these movies made a shit ton of money, like billions of dollars. So, and as much as I love Margot Robbie, her sort of standalone-led films haven't really made that much money. And even something as high-profile as Birds of Prey, a character that people loved from Suicide Squad, that itself didn't really make that much money. Financially, it wasn't too successful.
Right.
So it's interesting that they're kind of doubling down on her to lead us, and Christina Hodson, for that matter. I really loved what she did with Bumblebee. I was really looking forward to her script for Birds of Prey, and I was really rooting for her. I had some issues with the script. I had some issues with the movie in general. It didn't work. I wasn't a big fan of it. But like you said, I love Margot Robbie. I think she is she's in her young career, she's really showing off what she can do.
Yeah.
And to me, when I first heard this, I instantly thought of like the shot of Keira Knightley from like the second one when she's got like the hat on, she's got like the button down, when she's like messing around with the pirates. Remember when she's like playing with the compass?
Yes.
And it like leads to Jack, and she gets like mad. She quickly closes it, like no, it's not. I don't want him. Like
right.
It's not what I want. But I can picture her in that sort of kind of like aesthetic, rocking the hat, wearing like the shirt, being out like getting like down and dirty with like pirates. Like I can picture her in that sort of Keira Knightley role. But the Keira Knightley role is like a secondary role. So I don't really it's going to be interesting how everything kind of pans out. But I'm excited to see a sort of new fresh take on this property, so to speak. And I'm excited to see who they're going to build around her. It's going to be an all-female cast. I'm excited to see who else are going to bring in.
And then also who the director's going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, even though I didn't really like Birds of Prey, I'm still rooting for Christina Hodson. I hope she can kind of bounce back. And if you love the movie and if you loved everything, then great, good for you. Just for me personally, it didn't work. So I hope that, in my opinion, she can kind of bounce back and give us something fun and something new, because like we were saying, the last couple films have just not really done it for us. So
yeah, I would also like to see a director that they can get that is somewhat experienced and can sort of handle bigger productions like this, because usually the Pirates movies,
Patty Jenkins,
exactly. Yeah. Like that would be an awesome choice. And I think with these Pirates movies, they carry massive budgets, like really big budgets. So it would not surprise me to see them grab some sort of veteran director that has worked in this sort of area before. And then it's also, like you said too, like I'm also just excited that they are kind of coming back with these swashbuckling adventure types of movies, because we really don't get these anymore. Like there hasn't really been one since these last couple Pirates movies. You know what I mean? And because the last two were so disappointing, no studio is really touching this sort of story anymore. So I am kind of happy that they're coming back with it and
like get down and dirty.
Yeah,
You know,
like
get down,
like
get
definitely.
get in the mud, like fight, swing out some swords,
make
like
it big, make it epic, make it fun, make it interesting. You
As
know
I'm saying,
I
like
mean?
I pictured her in the Q&A role, and I can picture I can picture her working because she gets down and dirty. She starts fighting. She starts yelling. She stands up for herself. Like, I can picture her in that sort of role. It's just, but that just wasn't a lead role, you know. So I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. But I can definitely picture Margot Robbie in this world for sure.
Oh yeah,
I can see her rocking the hat, like I said, with I guess pirate clothes, if that makes any sense. Like I can just see her like on the ship and everything. I think she's going to fit in this world just fine. I just hope that I just hope it works.
Yeah.
I really do, because
that the creative team behind it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope the script is good, and I hope that they can, like you said, get a good director. Now that I said Patty Jenkins, I don't want anyone else. But you almost assume there's going to be a female director. You almost assume.
I would definitely probably assume that, and
because Margot is also producing it.
Right,
So-
she's also producing it. Patty Jenkins is a good pick. I would also like to see Michelle MacLaren kind of get like a
that's also a good
project,
pull,
like
yeah.
Michelle MacLaren, who's worked on Breaking Bad and a couple other big. I think she did an episode of Westworld.
I believe she was originally Patty Jenkins was supposed to do Thor.
Yes. Michelle MacLaren was supposed to do Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, thank you.
And
Thank you.
she left because of creative differences. So Michelle MacLaren's been kind of bouncing around these big projects, but she hasn't really gotten one yet. So maybe this is the one that she gets. And she's, even though she's done mainly TV, she's done prestige TV, and she's worked in like Westworld is not a cheap show. I don't know if she's done Game of Thrones. Maybe she has. Maybe she hasn't.
I would assume so, just because of that,
of just the type of show she's
in
done.
that circle.
I know she's done Better Call Saul. She's done Breaking Bad. She's done Westworld. She's done a bunch of stuff. So she's worked with these bigger budgets in TV, and she's been close to doing these bigger movies. So,
bro, maybe after she gets when she finishes up Obi-Wan, maybe Deborah Chow.
Yeah,
she's already worked
Deborah Chow would be awesome.
She worked in a big production with Mandalorian.
Yes.
She's going to work in an even bigger production with Obi-Wan. So
That's a
maybe
good
when she's
pick.
done, and she knows how to handle action.
Right.
And hearing her talk about action, she clearly understands that she has an eye for it. So that would be a good pick.
That would be a great pick.
Another one that I'm thinking about was I was going to say Karen Kusama, but I just remembered that she's going to do Vampire. She's going to do Dracula.
She's doing Dracula, yeah.
Right.
So she has her hands full right now.
Right. Because she's a great storyteller. Her movies really aren't crazy action, but she is a great storyteller. She knows how to tell a story. So I would love to see her. But yeah, she's going to do Dracula, which is more in her kind of niche in regards to everything that she's done. So good for her. But yeah, give me a
just get somebody in there that can really bring it home,
Yeah, and really give us something new, give us something fun, and just make us excited, I guess, about these. Because even like what you were saying about how the Davy Jones CGI was so ahead of its time, the CGI on Javier Bardem's character, what was his name again?
It was
he's that notorious
Salazar, I think, right?
Yes, Captain
Salazar, yeah.
Like the whole ghost CG, there were moments where it was rough, like really bad and like badly composited and saturated, and I'm like, oh. But yeah.
Well, I mean, no offense to the two directors that handled that fifth Pirates movie. That I think was one of their first big budget films, and they showed promise in some of their action sequences, but that goes back to what I was saying. When you have a veteran that did the first three movies like Gore Verbinski, you see what can happen, and
who is an underrated director.
Gore Verbinski is a very underrated director. Yeah. I would agree. And
did you see The Cure for Wellness?
I did.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I did. I actually did. I know a lot of people don't like the third act when it was revealed what's actually happening.
Okay.
But it has its to me it's typical Gore Verbinski in terms of like his look and his aesthetic,
his color palette.
And his color palette.
I love that cold gray color
palette.
palette. Very like harnessing back to The Ring.
Yep.
So good.
Well, I also just love his movies in general. Like even his earlier work. Like I love Mouse Hunt, and I love The Mexican with Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts and Gandolfini. Like I love those movies too. So he's a director I've always been a fan of. So I want to see him come back. He hasn't done a movie in a while.
Sex and Travel. So good.
So good.
Good stuff.
But yeah. Hopefully this brings the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, back to its glory days, and
I'm excited to hear some more news about it.
Definitely. All right, and that about does it, guys. Thank you for joining us. As always, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple Podcasts.
Can you follow? Oh, you can follow us on Spotify.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our YouTube page.
Please subscribe to the YouTube page. Please follow us on Twitter. Follow us everywhere. We appreciate all the support.
Yeah, I definitely want to what you said last week about thanking everyone that showed us support on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to the people that are following us. We've had some really awesome growth in like the last month. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to see. We've had a lot of fun posting. Some of the people have commented on some of the stuff we've posted, and it's really cool to talk with people about things that you love.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been really fun to see. And also another shout out to Brandon Davis and Complex.com for bringing the watch parties back. Finally, we've been waiting a long time to do these quarantine watch parties.
It's been a while.
And it's been so long since we've done one. They just did one for Iron Man, and they say they're going to keep doing them. So we're really excited that started back up. And that's the same thing. We got the chance to connect with some people that love these movies as well, and we got a chance to talk with them and interact with them, and make friends with different people.
It's a community. It's really what it comes down to. It's like you're part of his community, and you're just all talking, having fun. And I even said that too last night when we were like 10, 15 minutes into it. I'm like, I forgot how much fun this was.
Yeah,
because it's been a while since we did it. But yeah, echo all those sentiments, and we are excited. We're excited to bring you more content. We're excited to bring you more stuff. And I'm proud of us. I'm very proud of us. We're sticking to our guns.
We've been on it.
We've been doing it. And then shout out to our production team, which helps. They work hard. They work really hard in making the magic happen.
Absolutely.
So thank you to everyone.
Absolutely. And that does it. That does it for us, Nerds Nation.
For episode 11.
For episode 11. We will see you on the next one.
Bye.